Okay, Robert, what are we doing this week?
We're doing Samurai Flamenco, literally the best show ever made. Fuck your opinion, Dave. I hate you.
It shouldn't be me you need to be worried about based on our fucking...
Fuck you!
So we are doing Samurai Flamenco, which is a very, very silly show. Who were the guys who made it? I probably should have written all this.
Manga Globe.
Oh god, yeah, Man Globe. Yeah, these are like Samurai Champloo, Ergo Proxy. Oh fuck, yeah, I totally forgot about all this stuff. This is like a bunch of really, really famous dudes worked for this studio at one point. Then they folded right around the time that they were making Genocidal Organ.
I can't even remember why I watched Samurai Flamenco. I'm trying to remember what season it came out in.
I'm thinking it will have been fall 2013.
I found an image. Right, what else was on here? Gay shit, but it's like a girl with red glasses that everyone shitposts.
Oh, did it come out same year as Kyokai no Kanata?
Yes.
Oh, nice. I like that show.
I can't believe you got that from me saying gay shit with red glasses.
The girl's cute and everyone shitposts her. You kind of described it pretty well.
Lupin the Third came out. Blaze Blue.
Log Horizon.
Yeah, Log Horizon as well.
Also known as Imagine SAO, but it's not terrible.
Gundam Build Fighters, which was high. It's the Beyblade of Gundam, but there's nothing wrong with it. So there's a reason why Samurai Flamenco is completely forgotten in this.
Yeah, there was a lot of really cool stuff came out around the same time, particularly Kill the Kill. That's kind of an obvious one. Kill the Kill is sort of like the one.
Shit tier.
Fuck off. You loved that show.
Totally don't have the limited edition Blu-rays with all everything.
You're not secretly building a shrine to Trigger in your room. Basically, it was a really good season and a really good sort of general time period for pretty fucking hype shows that were coming out, so it's sort of understandable that this show might not have got the attention that you obviously feel it deserves.
Samurai Flamenco genuinely is the best show. If you ever need to be like, yo, what's anime about? And then you could be like,
just watch this.
It doesn't even have a beach episode. That's how good it is.
Basically, just imagine 22 episodes of shade being thrown at modern anime, and that's basically Samurai Flamenco, but also like a love letter to
Kamen Rider.
Yeah, Kamen Rider and all of these
all the Super Sentais.
And also Power Rangers.
I said Super Sentai, Dave. Shut the fuck up.
Hi, I don't know what that is. So the genres I've seen it listed as is action, comedy, and superhero.
Fuck you.
This is beyond genres. Samurai Flamenco is a genre.
That.
No, I think what we probably should do with this, maybe stress to people that this is a show that proper, real, serious enjoyment comes from not really knowing what's about to happen or what's going to go on. If you know that some shenanigans is maybe going to go down, that's fair.
This is the point in the video where you post that image of the ride never ending, because that's my entire face whenever I rewatch this.
But basically, if you haven't seen this show already, please take this as an immediate endorsement right now. I really like this show. Rob's made it pretty clear that this is like the one he keeps under his pillow at night and strokes tenderly to remind him that life is still worth living. This is a good show. Go and watch this show. Come back, and we'll be enthusiastic about it. Okay? So you fuck off now, and you go steal it or whatever it is that you plebs do, because you don't
buy the Blu-rays.
So the plot summary from Wikipedia, because again I'm fucking lazy, goes as follows: male model Masayoshi Hazama decides to fulfill his childhood dream of becoming a superhero despite having no superpowers or the technology to create a high-powered suit. Also, he's retarded.
Yeah.
He becomes the hero Samurai Flamenco and begins to fight crime in the name of justice, but mostly because he's retarded. Police officer Hidenori Goto finds out about Samurai Flamenco and his real identity by a twist of fate, which leads him getting... Oh, okay, they did actually write that correctly. Which leads to him getting involved in lots of trouble. What the fuck sentence is that? Who wrote this? Holy shit, it's this bad. Okay, basically, there's a guy called Masayoshi who's like a model.
Finally realizes how I do the plot summaries. I just make it up.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Fuck.
So, he's super pretty, but he's not terribly clever, and he decides that based on all the fucking shows he used to watch when he was a kid, he's going to become a superhero. So he does. He names himself Samurai Flamenco. He tells people off for smoking in public places. He tells kids to stop being loitering and gets his ass kicked, and then gets found by a police officer called Goto, who's a total bro, and so instead of arresting him like he probably should, just winds up like becoming best friends with him.
Yeah, boy.
And then they fight crime together, and everything is nice. There's like some fucking idol group whose leader is an absolute psychopath. She's called Mary. She likes to kick dudes in the balls and has like a mace, like an actual fucking mace. It's got spikes on it.
It's technically a morning star. Thank you very much.
She is committing grievous bodily harm upon the people she's attacking.
Yeah, but
someone should do
guys.
something about this.
They're bad guys.
No, they're not. In a lot of cases, they're just some like dudes, and she just fucking wails on them. How have I only just noticed this?
It also has a taser.
It also has a taser, and she likes to kick people in the balls. She's a fucking lunatic, is basically my point. She's joined by her friends who are also in the idol group. One of them is called Mo. Everyone thinks she's cute, but she's a complete wet blanket. The best girl is obviously Mizuki, because she's the one who doesn't necessarily deal with Mary's shit.
Be gone!
Wrong.
Fuck you. Mo is no spine. No.
Fake news.
Not cool. Not cool with that.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so everything's going great. The police really like this guy, Samurai Flamenco, because he's like getting people to care about crimes again. And so he gets brought along on this police raid on a drug farm. And then a giant gorilla man appears.
No, he takes the drugs that turns him into a gorilla.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yes, it was a dude who takes drugs and turns into a giant gorilla who, instead of having a chest, has a fucking guillotine.
Don't do drugs.
And he starts just decapitating motherfuckers.
Again, stop the drugs.
If you smoke a marijuana, you will turn into a decapitating monkey. That's basically what Nancy Reagan was saying back in the fucking 80s.
Dare to resist drugs.
A fucking monkey killing cops. I don't know, man. That makes me want to take drugs. I'm sold. Is this what meth is like? Cool. The ultimate point is, this show likes to fuck with your expectations. It likes to lull you into a false sense of security where you think you know everything that's gonna happen, and then it will just pull the fucking rug out from under you with even more ridiculous shit. We should probably cover each of the arcs, just to...
Okay, so first arc we'll call the realistic arc, so that's him dealing with like literary bullshit like that. It's where he fights a drunk guy for being drunk.
Gets his ass kicked.
Yeah, see the end to that arc, and I know me and you disagree on this, is when he rescues the umbrella, because like it's like him finally proving his height.
I'd still say that all the stuff with the flamenco girls, I'd still say that's part of the first arc, but we have agreed to disagree on this one.
And then that's when he meets Red Axe, then he meets the flamenco girls, and then it's also when he meets the guy who gives him all the stationery and stuff. So that's like the next 4 episodes.
All of his weapons are based on stationery, because I don't know why.
I don't think they could think of something stupider, so that's what they went
with. So he has like staplers that are also nunchucks, and his zip line / swingy rope is a fucking tape measure. All of this dumb shit. It's great. Then a giant gorilla appears who turns out to work for a guy called King Torture. That's a whole arc in which actually monsters are real now.
Oh my god.
That is probably one of the funnier moments in the show, just how initially everyone in the city's panicking and they're like, oh my god, monsters are real. And then Samurai Flamenco and the Flamenco girls are just shutting these guys down constantly, and their plans are getting more and more inane and stupid. Like, we're going to hand out poison towels that will make the city sick. And then Flamenco shows up and is like, I will not let you do that. And then you just see all of these people in the city who have got completely used to the fact that there are monsters and supervillains wandering about, just going to work, looking mildly annoyed at the fact like this giant monster thing is just standing in the middle of the road going like, ah! You would, like, in the background you can see a bunch of guys sort of looking at it like, just
fuck off.
I'm trying to get to the train, man. Get the fuck out of the way. And then he gets picked up by Red Axe, who it turns out is like the leader of this anti-monster organization. Then it's a Super Sentai show because he teams up with a bunch of other motherfuckers called the Samurai Sentai Flamengers. He's the Red Flamenger, or Flamen Red. There's a Flamen Black, who's like an edgy shooter man dude. There's a Flamen Pink, who is a grill. That is literally her only characteristic. There's a Flamen Blue, who naturally is clashing against the Flamen Red. And then there's the Flamen Green, who is basically like Yagami, but not a psychopath. Yeah, that's all their characters. They go up against an organization called From Beyond, which keeps throwing more and more and more and
20 minutes later.
more and more dudes at them. Eventually, it looks like Japan's going to be overrun.
They also have a giant robot called Flamen Robot.
Oh yeah, they do.
Hype boys.
This is technically a mecha. I think this show's actually quite good at doing some sort of slightly dramatic, more serious moments, and then it can do the ridiculous shit as well on the side.
Yes.
It somehow manages to have these more serious moments where they're all sort of going like, you can rescue 5 people that will be evacuated from the city early, we'll get them out for you, but you can't tell anyone else that we think Japan is about to be overrun by millions of, 65,000 superpowered monsters. And then all of the Flamengers are sort of like, what the fuck do we do with this information? And it's like a mildly serious moment in the show. And then Masayoshi, because he's retarded, as we've mentioned, just blurts it out on live television, goes like, there's gonna be like lots of monsters and it's gonna overrun the whole country. You guys should probably evacuate.
Cheers, lad.
Great. Good job, man. Anyway, all the superheroes appear. It turns out they've always been real, and they help the Flamengers stop From Beyond.
Every single superhero ever.
All of them. Just all of them.
This is like the second most illegal scene in fucking TV history, as far as I'm aware.
So they all disband, having successfully saved the country, and then all the Flamengers get arrested suddenly by the police, bar Masayoshi, because it turns out now the Prime Minister is a bad dude.
The baddest dude.
He's the baddest of bad dudes, who's basically been using all of these monsters to try and improve his approval ratings, but it turned out that the heroes were more popular than him, so he had to get rid of them and also improve his poll ratings. So Masayoshi goes on the run and becomes an illegal superhero. He teams up with a man who is basically Captain America, but Captain America driving a giant truck with the American flag on the side of it.
Dave, you forgot a superpower. Mr. Justice's superpower is he's also a Care Bear.
Oh yeah.
He shoots lasers out his chest.
Shoots lasers out of his chest and punches dudes at helicopters and stuff. It's a great scene. It's a great scene. Anyway, Masayoshi confronts the Prime Minister to try and find out why he's been, turning on the superheroes. And it turns out it's because he wants to improve his poll ratings, his approval ratings. And he has a mecha suit that is literally powered by his approval ratings. He is basically Senator Armstrong, but in Japanese form.
Nanomachine, son.
He starts beating the shit out of Samurai Flamenco, but it turns out that this shady fucking dude that Samurai Flamenco is pals with. Do I sound like I'm having a really hard time keeping a track of all this? Well, it's because there's a lot to keep track of.
Right, what you're forgetting, right, is they have the big fight, it's all televised, everyone realises the Prime Minister's bad, and because his support starts to fall, his suit weakens. However, Masayoshi defeats him, but it turns out that Mr. Justice is actually a race called Alien Flamenco, whose race has replaced all the world leaders. The Prime Minister was actually not the bad guy, he was trying to stop them, because he's the only world leader that's not been changed by them. They then go outside from the Japanese diet, and then they discover there's a giant spaceship in the sky.
Oh my god.
So they're like, well, guess what we're fighting next? Fuck you, space! And then he turns out to be the person responsible from King Torture and From Beyond, because they believe that fighting monsters will cause everyone to evolve and create universal peace. And then he tries to persuade him to join the cause, and then they fight, but like his evolution device causes him to grow, and then he becomes Space Final Flamenco, and then fuck knows. They start fighting in space and then he gets stuck on the moon.
It's like a riff on the ending of fucking Gurren Lagann. They fight in space. Flamenco punches Flamencolian into orbit and sends him flying off into space. And then God appears.
No, it's the literal will of the universe.
Yeah, okay, God appears. Let's keep this simple. It's a giant floating cube in the sky.
Basically, it turns out that because Samurai Flamenco wanted to be a hero, his will was so strong it literally changed the universe.
And also that flamenco is a magical word that has like a 0.00001% chance to change the world. Yeah, and then he goes back to his life, having saved the actual world. Everything's great. And then this little grey-haired psychopath called Haji Sawada appears, and the little grey-haired kid is like, yo, can I shake your hand? And Samurai Flamenco, being a nice dude, is like, yeah, sure, of course, kid. And then Haji's like, yeah, I just blew up your flat.
Fuck you, it's Fight Club now!
Now, the end arc is basically just this little fucking kid trying to ruin Masayoshi's life.
It goes from like Gurren Lagann levels of throwing universes at each other in a giant fight to like, yeah, now we're just doing the plot of Seven, but the bad guy's a kid. Open the fucking box, Masayoshi.
It gets quite dark. He's like out for blood, this kid. And that's the end of the show. Yeah, it's a fucking ride, man.
Hey, don't stop.
It's a wild ride. So earlier you were saying you didn't really know if this was like planned this way or not. I fully disagree. This show knew exactly what it was going to be doing from the start, because each arc layers over into one another. Each arc kind of references forward and back. It all feeds into each other. It is all fully intended. This isn't like a Trigger ass pull. I love Trigger. Don't get me wrong. I will defend all of their shows, including Kisnaiver. Fight me. It's a good show. But they really like to pull stuff out of their ass that just comes from nowhere. Trigger doesn't know how to set something up. They're like really, really excited dudes who just want to get you to the ass pull. Like, look at this! Isn't this awesome? It's like, that's great, Trigger, but where has this suddenly come from? It's great, innit? We've got more. We've got more!
Nudist speech.
Nudisto.
Whereas Samurai Flamenco, at each moment, they are always building up to the next arc and the next segment. Like, well, Haji, who's like the final antagonist, the ultimate villain of the whole show, I guess you could say, is introduced in like the first episode. He's there in the crowd of kids that Samurai Flamenco goes and tells off and is like, "Go, stop loitering, you damn kids." Bleh. And like the Prime Minister is showing up in a bunch of these things as well as like a character who's fairly important in the Flamengers arc. And then it's revealed that he's ultimately the villain. And you know, shit like that.
But wait, he's not.
But actually, it's aliens and also God.
Yeah, it's like that whole 2010 in movies, right? So you remember, like, for example, Kick-Ass, Super. The other example I'll come up with is Hobo with a Shotgun, so that whole Grindhouse era.
Yeah.
A lot of this is influenced by that whole kind of like, you know what? We'll just do what we want, see what happens. You know, like, you get like archetypes and you get templates of shows that are just colored by the numbers. I wouldn't say Samurai Flamenco doesn't do the color by the numbers. It's just like, you know what? Let's do that with fucking nitrous fuel. Fuck it. We're in space now.
Yeah, it is a really, really fucking meta show. At all points, it is poking fun at itself, poking fun at modern anime, poking fun at the old sort of superhero, Super Sentai shit that it's riffing on. It likes to have fun with what it's doing. It's not a very serious show, apart from in the moments where it just decides to like throw some fucking emotional gut punches at you, like with Gotu. Gotu's kind of a character we haven't really covered yet.
Mostly because he's the best character.
Yeah, and also because he's in all of these arcs and stuff, but he's kind of like, he's the straight man to Masayoshi's nonsense.
The way I describe Gotu is he's the Han Solo character.
He's a pretty cool dude who looks out for Masayoshi and saves his ass on multiple occasions and things like that. And he's just this solid, dependable dude who has this long-distance girlfriend who he's always texting and stuff and seems very much in love with her. And then, yeah.
Turns out he's insane!
Oh my god.
Turns out he's a really fucked up dude as well, because all the time throughout the whole show you see him like texting and messaging his girlfriend. Turns out his girlfriend has been missing or dead for years.
She's been missing since high school, if I remember right.
Yeah, Gotu basically had a mental breakdown and started texting himself from his girlfriend's phone, pretending that it was her.
I mean, who hasn't done that? Come on now.
That's a battle you can fight yourself, sir. I'm not getting involved with that. I want to geek out about the sound design for a bit because, oh my god, it's brilliant. Probably my favorite example is every single time Mari gats someone in the nads, there's a little bell ding sound. Ding. And they just keep it going as she repeatedly kicks dudes in the testicles, and so you're just hearing this ding, ding, ding. It's like, this is cleverly done. I enjoy this. Or just that sequence I was geeking out about earlier with, what's the name of the American superhero again?
Mr. Justice.
Mr. Justice, that's it. Where he like knocks that guy into the fucking helicopter. The sound design is perfect comedy. Also, even like the composition of the scene, perfect comedy. There was this great video that Every Frame a Painting did a couple of years back where they're talking about good comedy editing and how you can use editing to, you know, add to the humor of a scene, which is, you know, people exiting from the frame in a funny way or entering the frame in a funny way. This scene has both. We have like this tiny little speck of a dude come smashing out of a window, flying up past the camera frame and into a helicopter. It's brilliant. It's fucking hilarious.
You can watch Samurai Flamenco multiple times and pick up on different things every time. And it's not even the plot, because the plot is really basic.
Also ridiculous and really hard to keep track of because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's because of the speed of the plot that makes it good. So like you'll miss things because it's just like, oh, by the way, now we're in space. Oh shit.
What?
The universe is here. Oh, by the way, your actual name is a magic word. Do you know what Jesus Christ's middle name is, Dave?
Flamenco.
Fact.
Right, Robert, let's try and get back on the topic. Tell me some things that you enjoyed about this show.
Everything.
Yeah, okay. We got that. But specific key things.
No, Dave, I don't think you understand. Everything. Like, there's not a single moment I can pull out from any of the plots or any of the storylines where I go, you know what, that was particularly better than everything else. Because as you watch the show, because everything ramps up, every episode has a best bit in it. Everything is great. Like, even the fucking opening animation is hype.
Oh, also, the show has lesbians in it, if that's...
Yes!
Jam, so... wanted to sort of ramble a wee bit about like the final couple episodes, the last arc with Haji, and just how
it's a huge tonal shift in a series that does tonal shifts well, and this is the only one that feels like, okay. Because like if this had followed on from the first arc, so like the realistic storyline bit,
yeah, it would have made complete sense.
But like, because the rest of the show is like, you know what, we need to reach space and we have 18 episodes to explain how we're going to get to space, and then we're going to come back to this plot.
What I found funny though is like reading a lot of what has been written about this show, and what people were saying is like, oh, we sort of found it got increasingly predictable that something more ridiculous was going to happen next. And it's like, yeah, the show was anticipating you saying that. And so when it literally reaches the point where he's beating up super intelligent space aliens and meeting God, it then dials it back down to super gritty and grounded, and that's where it wants to leave it. It's so clever.
And if anyone claims they called it, they're fucking full of shit. I don't even know how to put it into words. Like, it's like this show is the roller coaster equivalent of just everything. Like, you just gotta get on board. Just ride the tiger.
I've really struggled to even come up with any sort of criticisms that I can think of. This show knows exactly what it wants to do, nails it perfectly, has some wonderful, quite somber and sad moments, which is really hard to do in what is otherwise a ridiculous comedy show, and constantly keeps you guessing. I can't really think of too many criticisms of this. If this is not your sort of thing, if you don't really like this style of comedy, I can see you not enjoying it. Sure, I personally love this shit though, so I don't really have anything that I could knock it. This is a really fucking good show.
Watch the fucking show. End the video.
There we go. I want to try and make some sort of stab at acting like a super
edgy contrarian douchebag who I physically will torture when I meet if he ever says anything bad about the show. But go on, Dave. Tell me why you don't like this show. Remember the guns loaded, Dave. Do